Recently, while kayaking just south of the city of Bellingham, something caught the corner of my eye. I moved in for a closer look. A SEAL team was dispatched to investigate my activities.
Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful day to go kayaking. I know I've been doing a lot of kayaking adventures, but it's summertime in Washington, and that doesn't happen too often when we have nice weather, so I'm going to take advantage of it and go kayaking. Today, I am going to Chuckanut Island. It's an island about a mile away from Teddy Bear Cove, and it's a quiet cove. The water's pretty placid, so it's pretty much an easy kayak. It takes you about an hour to get there, and we're gonna pass by Chuckanut Rock, and I hear Chuckanut Rock has a lot of seals that like the beach on that rock, so maybe we'll see some seals as we kayak out there. Should be a pretty good adventure. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Situated about 2.5 hours away from the metropolis of Seattle is a sleepy little place known as Teddy Bear Cove. This place seems quite popular with the locals. It seems like the spot where everyone hangs out. For me personally, I didn't find it all that great. Although scenic in some places, I found Teddy Bear Cove to be quite smelly. Nonetheless, I chose it as the place I would put in and launch my expedition to Chuckanut Island. To get to Teddy Bear Cove, you must navigate the trail along with the switchbacks. The hike down means that you must hike back up, but it's nothing too strenuous. At the end of the trail are train tracks that you must cross.
Okay, so when you get down to the base of the trail, there's a train tracks. There's a train that passes through here, and it's pretty frequent. So you definitely don't want to linger on the tracks, because trains come and go here. We were here yesterday, and there was one that passed by, so definitely don't spend too much time on the train tracks. And there's also a sign that says trespassers keep off, so just something to keep in mind.
Without delay, I set up my boat and I was on my way.
There's a jumping fish.
The water was calm when I put in. It looked like it was going to be a smooth ride. My destination was just on the edge of the horizon. The brown strip that's surrounded by a sea of blue was where I was going. That's Chuckanut Rock. Each minute, I drew closer. What once seemed like a daunting paddle was slowly coming to reality as Chuckanut Rock got bigger. The best part was paddling out to the rock hardly took any effort. The kayak seemed to glide through the water. And before I knew it, I found myself approaching this massive rock located in the middle of the bay. The rock had an air of mystery about it, and a stench strong enough to ward off anyone entertaining the idea of climbing it. I paddled out as close as my nose would allow me to get. I scanned the area, hoping to get a glimpse of some seals beaching on the rock. So far, I had no such luck. But then, my luck seemed to change as I caught something in the corner of my eye. I moved in for a closer look. I saw a few seals take to the water. At first glance, I thought they were shying away from me. I later found out that that couldn't be farther from the truth. There were multiple seals in the water, and although they kept their distance, they were definitely curious about the 6-foot-tall black man kayaking their way. Like a submarine periscope, frequently I saw heads popping up and then going back down as they attempted to track me. I wanted to get closer, but I never trust anything that's in the wild. Eventually, the seals tired of me and they went back to beaching on their rocks. They seemed to like basking in the sun. With the seals no longer interested in me, I continued on to Chuckanut Island. The island was very close to Chuckanut Rock and only would take a few minutes to paddle from that point. I became more and more excited as the island grew closer and closer. I was ready to get off this boat and stretch my legs. The water was so smooth, it almost looked like a reflective mirror. There were virtually no waves. Chuckanut Island is a small place. It doesn't seem much larger than a football field, but still, it looks like it would be a nice place to hang out at night. Unfortunately, the island is restricted to daytime use only, so there's no camping allowed.
Alright, so just made it to Chuckanut Rock and I'm about to make land and check out this island, see what it's about. Took us about an hour to get here from Teddy Bear Cove. Nice little pleasant cruise where we're about to disembark. Alright, just made land. Gonna pull the boat ashore and we'll see what we can check out. It's low tide, so we're not gonna spend that much time. The water's receding right now, so normally I have a rope, tie the boat up, but I didn't bring that today. Nice.
The beach on Chuckanut Island is not very big, but does allow for some pleasant views. I took a moment to take it all in. Although this place looks very desolate and abandoned, that turns out not to be the case. It turns out I was not the only one here.
Alright, so this is a really small island. There's a lot of shrubbery. Want to go check and see what's up in the hills over here. Over there is where we came from. That's Chuckanut Rock over there. That's where the seals like to sunbathe. So we passed a bunch of seals coming over here, and we're gonna go up this path over here and see what's in here. Maybe we'll find Sasquatch or something cool. I don't know, but we're about to find out. Okay, many people like to go on this trail here. They got this sign up here that says you're not allowed to do any clamming, which why would anybody want to? Because when we left Teddy Bear Cove, they said the clams are toxic, so I don't know why anybody do any clamming over here. All right, let's go.
The trail at Chuckanut Island is along the edge of the cliff face. If you are afraid of heights, this might not be the trail for you. There are plenty of amazing views along the trail that look out onto the bay and surrounding areas. As I mentioned before, this trail is not ideal for anyone who's afraid of heights. Well, that would include me. I'm afraid of heights, and yet I'm still drawn to high places. Furthermore, I have a terrible sense of balance.
Alright, so there's a nice lookout on this island. Island is very small, so I think pretty much the trail just goes around the island. But it's got some awesome views over here. It's got this little cliff face and this rock edge over here. It's pretty dodgy If you were to fall, I wouldn't say you would die, but you'd be severely injured. It's pretty cool.
I marched farther into the woods, while my cameraman headed back to the boat. She was concerned someone might jack our kayak. Who does that on a remote island? There were plenty of people anchored near the island, chilling on their boats, probably barbecuing and listening to music. The island was quiet. I never saw another soul as I walked the trail.
This place looked like it has some good potential for some cliff jumping. I don't know. I got this rock on the edge over here. I was gonna go check it out. If the water's deep enough, you could actually jump off this cliff and dive in the water. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know how you get back up here. It'd probably be hell to get back up, but it'd be an awesome cliff jump.
This face definitely had potential. Of course, the million-dollar question was, is it deep enough? Or was there some sort of rock lurking under the water that would make for a bad day should you smash into it? I would definitely do a depth check before I jumped off this cliff. There would be no cliff jumping today. Today, it only would be stunning views of the bay, and I couldn't have chosen a more perfect day to do so. Under time constraints, I was quickly running out of time before I would have to head back to Teddy Bear Cove. I tried to go a little farther to see what else this tiny island had in store. I found this tiny beach that looked like a good place to hang out. I attempted to see if the beach was accessible from where I was. From this vantage point, it didn't look like I could get down there. I moved in for a closer look. It looked like a rock scramble would be necessary to get down to the beach. Unfortunately, I had run out of time, so there was no way I could go down there. So, I just observed at a distance and admired its beauty.
Alright, well, seems like that'd be a really nice beach during low tide. It's not quite low yet, the water is receding. So when the water recedes, looks like it'd be a nice little sandy beach over there. It's not quite there yet, but it's heading in that direction. You can't really access the beach from up here. You'd actually have to pull in with your boat to get to that. But that might be a worthwhile spot if you're into sunbathing. Me, I already got a natural tan.
Completely out of time, I grabbed my boat and headed off to sea. It was going to take at least an hour to get back to Teddy Bear Cove. And of course, it would be rude if I didn't pass Chuckanut Rock and say goodbye to the SEAL team.
Alright, we're coming up to Chuckanut Rock again, and we got a bunch of seals that are just chilling on this rock sunbathing. And there's all kind of seals. There's albino seals, black seals, and it's pretty cool. They'll probably jump off and start following us. They did last time on the way back. So they definitely see us. Oh, they're scurrying.
The cruise back was a pleasant one, although not as smooth as when I set out earlier that morning. On the way back, the tide was coming in, so it was a bit more bumpy. I passed by the cliffs of Teddy Bear Cove, headed back to where I started. At last, the adventure was coming to an end. Just around the bend was where I started. It is a small cove consisting of a beach comprised of crushed clamshells and corpses of dead crabs. It's no wonder it smelled so bad. It's not the prettiest beach, but it gets the job done.
Alright, so just got back from our kayak trip to Chuckanut Island, which was awesome. Got to see some seals sunbathing, got to do some exploration on a very small island. Very pleasant experience. So if you come here, you can put in at Teddy Bear Cove, or I don't remember the name of the park. park, but I'll put it on my website. Not too far from here, there is another park, and they have a pier where you can launch. Teddy Bear Cove is a little bit closer to Chuckanut Island if you're lazy like me and you don't like to paddle too hard. But either way, it's not too strenuous, and it's a good time. It'll take you about an hour paddle out, an hour to paddle back, but it's a good time. Anyway, mission accomplished, job successful. Good job.